This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department's brand new use of force policy is being called a step in the right direction. Thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. The policy announced today will require all officers to be retrained on what's expected of them. In other cases, what they are not allowed to do. RTV6's Cameron Riddle explains the changes and what those pushing for police reform think about the policy.
The new use of force policies at IMPD focus heavily on de-escalating situations when police arrive on a scene and also includes specific language requiring an officer to step in when witnessing another member of law enforcement violating the law or department policy.
I think it speaks to our efforts to be transparent, more engaged with our community, and create legitimacy around what guides our police officers.
The use of chokeholds is now banned and clearly written in the department's policy, along with clear directions on when to use lethal or less lethal force. The change now prohibits officers from shooting into or from moving vehicles.
Candidly, I made a commitment that we would update the use of force policy after the tragic death of Aaron Bailey 2 years ago. It's long overdue.
It would have helped Aaron for sure. Part of the use of force policy that I saw was that it prohibits officers from shooting into a moving vehicle or shooting at occupants inside of a moving vehicle, and that absolutely applied in the Aaron Bailey case.
The new duty to intervene policy requires every officer to report inappropriate use of force. This practice could have changed the outcome in Minneapolis, where 3 officers assisted Derek Chauvin in the arrest that led to George Floyd's death. Jessica Louise with Indy 10 Black Lives Matter says the updated policy is not perfect, but is another step in the right direction.
It is progress. One of our demands was for the use of force policy to be reviewed and rewritten. So this is just a portion of it. The other demands still stand. We're still asking for justice in Drajon Reed and Mikhail Rose's case. So the fact that we have made progress on one demand is simply a motivation for us to press harder for other demands.
In Indianapolis, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
And IMPD is redeveloping a training curriculum in line with the new policies and will begin the process of training all officers on these new directives as soon as next month. And new at 11, Metro Police are at the scene of a deadly shooting at a West Side apartment complex that happened just before 10 o'clock tonight in the 5400 block of Scarlet Drive near West 34th Street and Muller Road. The identity of the victim has not been released. Additional details surrounding the incident have also not been released.
We've been telling you throughout the day that Indianapolis Public Schools administrators are recommending their entire district start this school year with e-learning. While it hasn't officially been decided, families are already making plans. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker turned to parents to get a sense of what they're now going through.
I was open to sending him back. I just made that decision last week.
I spent the summer preparing to go back to school in person. I've been collecting a mask wardrobe for my children.
These 2 moms might end up having to change those plans. Indianapolis Public Schools Board will decide on Thursday if students can go back to the classroom or if they're starting out with virtual learning when classes resume on August 17th. Julia Holbrook and Dina Kelly have kids in the IPS district.
How hard has it been trying to teach your kids at home?
It's been hard for me. I have to create a activity, a plan, a speech class, trying to get him to talk and use his words.
There was the stress of the newness of the situation, and that the schools were put in that position overnight, needing to pivot and go online.
Julia says her kids used workbooks to finish out the last school year. She's hoping they get more screen time with their teachers if IPS decides on virtual learning. For Dina, the situation is a little tougher because her son has Down syndrome. He's missing out on the usual one-on-one teaching he gets.
I just have to adjust and adapt to the new normal.
Both moms tell me the possibility they'll have to facilitate learning at home for their kids while still trying to work and deal with the pandemic is daunting. But they're keeping a positive attitude, knowing how they act will determine how their kids act.
I hope that this is an opportunity to teach our children how to live with uncertainty and resilience.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
IPS administrators will present the e-learning plan proposal to the board tomorrow, and then the board will vote.
And as you heard from one of those moms, sending your child back to school can be complicated when you have a child with special needs. The Rebound is our initiative to make sure our education system is helping all students get an education even amid COVID-19. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny uncovered info every parent can use.
The Department of Education says they have made it clear to local school districts that they have to follow the law when it comes to students with special needs and their services.
I want to get my ball.
Oh, you want to play with the ball then?
Yeah.
Marvin Selva is struggling with whether to send his 6-year-old daughter to school in person or choose virtual learning, a decision further complicated because Ambreen has Down syndrome and other health issues. Ambreen thrives by being around her teacher and peers, plus she gets vital therapies in school. Call 6 Investigates found more than 165,000 students in Indiana have a disability.
It's not so much the virus itself, it's having to work with a child with disabilities. The concern of her getting it, what's going to happen, what's going to do. She has underlying issues that could affect her completely different than perhaps yourself or a child with no disabilities. So that's the biggest concern as parents that we have, what's going to happen.
We did some checking and found schools still have to follow a student's IEP or individualized education plan. The Indiana Department of Education says they're working with local districts to make sure they understand the need to provide services even during a pandemic. When a district fails to provide services, schools can be required to offer them after the fact. IDOE also created this document full of resources and guidance for special education, and they have staff that can help mediate if families are at an impasse with their school. Ultimately, Marvin decided on virtual learning for his daughter, and he's working with her teacher to make sure she's getting the services and education she needs. Parents with concerns should contact their child's principal, teacher, or request a case conference. Reporting at the State House, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
To find the state's list of special education resources, you can go to the story on the RTV6 app and our website at WRTV.com. And this week, you'll have a chance to hear from Marion County school and health officials about safely reopening schools. Our partners at Radio 1 are hosting a town hall tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m. Local leaders will talk about best practices to help keep your children safe. You can listen live on Hot 96.3 AM 1310, The Light, 106.7 WTLC, and the RTV6 Facebook page.
New numbers reveal more than 60% of the state's COVID-19 deaths happened at long-term care facilities. This is a significant increase from the state's previous claims that nursing home deaths were half of the state's total. Here's what changed. The state now requires nursing homes to report all deaths and cases dating back to March 1st. They're also now publishing the data broken down by facility on their website. This after pressure from Call 6 Investigates, AARP Indiana, and other groups. Today, state officials emphasize that the new numbers are still preliminary and may change.
I do want to emphatically put to rest a concern that's been voiced by some. We have never underreported or hid data, right? We have always reported the aggregate data facilities submitted to us. However, the way we collected data from facilities has changed.
95% of long-term care facilities have reported their historical data to the State Department of Health, and they're working to gather the remaining 5%. The state says its previous data collection system was never meant for public reporting. Another 8 Hoosiers have died from COVID-19 with 630 new cases reported today. The Indiana death toll is now at 2,725. More than 64,000 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with the virus, and more than 724,000 people in Indiana have been tested, with 8.9% testing positive.
There's a warning across the nation about mystery shipments of seeds from China. The strange packets are causing quite a stir. RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain why experts are advising people not to plant these. And she also talked with a woman who received them.
Tiffany Craig thought nothing of it when an Amazon order she canceled still showed up last month.
Oh my gosh, I received some of those packages. Let me see who I need to call Because I've seen other states listed. Indiana was not on the list originally.
Though she wasn't expecting the package, she wrote it off as a mix-up and planned to plant the seeds next year until she logged onto social media yesterday.
I have received 2 different packages of seeds.
Turns out she's not alone. Mysterious packages have been popping up all over the U.S. In some cases, people didn't even request them.
I've seen it on Facebook yesterday, a post, and I'm like, seeds from China. I received seeds from China. What do I do with these? And then everybody kept posting different posts saying, oh, we'll call Purdue. Here's the number to Natural Resources. It says from the China Post, and it says onion stud earring, and the other package says shallot stud earring. I'm like, well, why were they labeled earrings? That's odd.
The USDA and agriculture experts want the seeds turned in for testing because they believe it's an invasive plant. They say anyone who gets a package like this with seeds inside shouldn't just plant them. Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
And find more info about who to contact regarding the mysterious seeds when you read this story on theindychannel.com. Kevin, another beautiful evening out.
It is beautiful. It's warm and dry right now. The temperature in Indy is still 77 degrees. 73 is the coolest right now in Bloomington. What happens while you sleep? The clouds will increase. The rain holds off until the alarm clock goes off in the morning for most of us. Temperatures will still be around 70. Let me show you the rain that sits over St. Louis area, just crossing the Mississippi into southern Illinois. That's just kind of setting the stage then. Humidity climbing and our rain chances tomorrow morning. Scattered showers first thing in the morning. Watch what happens between 5 and about 9. Again, the best chance of rain will be southwest of Indy in that time frame. Terre Haute, Bloomington, Franklin, all included in that. We'll finish the day out tomorrow as far as the timing and rainfall potential for amounts coming up.
Coming up here, we'll tell you about a local organization that is helping people who may have been displaced from their jobs due to the pandemic learn skills for a new career.
Getting to work is not always a smooth ride, especially if you don't have your own transportation, but there's now a more comfortable option for people working in one local community.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Governor Holcomb has directed flags statewide to be flown at half-staff to honor former Governor Joe Kernan. 74-year-old Kernan died today at a South Bend healthcare facility after being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease several years ago. Kernan was lieutenant governor when Governor Frank O'Bannon died in 2003, and he served in the state's top office for 16 months before he lost the 2004 election. An organization that helps provide job training for people in underserved communities is getting a little extra help from the United Way COVID Economic Relief Fund.
RTV6 teamed up with United Way to encourage donations to the fund. Project Azul received about $20,000 to keep helping people during the pandemic.
RTV6's Megan Sanctorum shows us how your donations are being put to good use.
With classroom lessons and hands-on experience, this group is learning everything they need to know to land skills-based jobs in the logistics industry and advance in their careers. This program is through Project Azul. They work to connect people with resources and job training. During the pandemic, they were able to do a little more than that too. United Way funds allowed Project Azul to provide those in need with things like rent assistance, utility payments, and internet access. A temporary boost, helping them get by while still focusing on the long-term goal.
As folks have found themselves displaced from their typical work, whether it was hospitality or some other career, we're able to provide them with this short-term training. So our trainings are short, they're 2 to 5 days, so they're very practical in length. And then place them into a job with a quick turnaround.
Leaders say those who complete this training usually see about a 30% increase in their wages and advancement in their career. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Our Hiring Hoosiers initiative provides you with information about all things job related. For some who have to use public transportation to get to and from work, they'll now have better protection from the elements. More than 18,000 people commute to Plainfield every day to work in the large distribution centers there. And many of them ride the Workforce Connector shuttle that runs between the end of Indigo's westernmost stop and through Hendricks County. The Connector has 2 routes and now 3 permanent bus shelters dedicated today.
We know very well how challenging it is to get employees to job opportunities. So this is an important day.
The local shelters are located at All Points Parkway and Smith Road and at Reeves and Whitaker and on AirTech Parkway. For job opportunities in the Warehouse District, look for this story at hiringhoosiers.com. And more jobs news for you. RTV6 and the Indiana Black Expo are teaming up for the virtual Hiring Hoosiers Employment Opportunity Fair. That runs tomorrow from noon to 4. Quality employers are coming together to help you take the next steps in your career, and immediate job openings are available for you. To get connected, just visit indianablackexpo.com.
Well, I'll show you the 7-day forecast here in a second, and you'll see below average temperatures. We'll continue that trend. This outlook shows this period August 6th through the 12th, so really the first couple of weeks here of the month looks to have below average temperatures. And notice the average high will slip to 84 during that period. Current average is 85 degrees. And rainfall above average. So kind of an unusual combination here as we go into August. And speaking of above average precipitation, we're going to have a chance for rain nearly every day in the forecast. Tomorrow, pretty high throughout the entire day. Now this is for Indianapolis. The probability of rain south of Indianapolis is even greater. North of Indianapolis, it quickly goes down. 8 o'clock in the morning, scattered showers. See the color to the southwest of Sullivan and Terre Haute. Some heavier downpours there, maybe some isolated rumbles of thunder. Not expecting severe storms, but pockets of heavy rainfall. 10 a.m. Terre Haute to nearly Bloomington, certainly through Bloomfield and Bedford. More widespread at 1 o'clock. Still, though, the trend for the heaviest rain south of Terre Haute, Indy, Richmond. That's why some of those spots, as you'll see in a second, may see some heavy rainfall totals. The humidity will be quite high through the day tomorrow. That is part of the ingredient needed for the heavy rainfall. Taking a look more specifically at rainfall potential, notice a couple of bullseyes down there in Jackson and also Lawrence counties, between 3 and 3.5 inches of rain, if not a little more. Temperatures tomorrow cooled by the fact that we'll have the clouds and showers and some thunderstorms. We'll hold on to that chance of rain in Friday through Monday. As far as our highs tomorrow, as I mentioned, below average. That's a trend that continues for a while. Friday forecast will end the month of July with a temperature of around 81, 30% chance for showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures from north to south will end the month on a cool note. All things being equal. 7-day forecast, as you see what happens, our daily chance for showers and thunder showers. The cooler temperatures are here to stay for a while. Cool enough that we'll drop into the 50s for morning lows by the middle of next week. And high temperatures do not exceed 81 for the high. But take the umbrella tomorrow. Amanda?
Parents are banding together to educate their kids in small groups. Coming up, what they say are the keys to success and how they suggest you can start doing this in your neighborhood.
The Colts have begun arriving for training camp, and that alone has turned into a multi-day process. Most of everything will be different in the coming weeks. Head coach Frank Reich and GM Chris Ballard talked today about the keeping of the team focused on staying healthy.
We could be the most disciplined team, the most mature team in the league, and you can't stop. You can't stop it all. There's some things you can't stop and that you have no control over. So it's a maturity to not only handle it the best way we can, but also if something does happen like that, we just can't overreact to what's happening.
There's going to be sacrifices that are going to have to be made by all of us. Everybody that's in the building right now that's with a tier. Players, coaches, staff, we're all going to have to make sacrifices. And it's the ultimate, it's just like the ultimate test of discipline.
The team won't be on the field for a couple of weeks. Coach Reich says that they hope to hold 2 preseason practices at Lucas Oil Stadium. The rest will be at the team complex. Our goal all this week is to help families decide how to get safely back to school.
We continue helping you tonight with the growing trend of parents creating their own small neighborhood classes. Alicia Nieves found out what it takes to make this successful.
On March 13th, our kids jumped off the bus all together. There's 9 of them in our neighborhood. They had 2 weeks off, but that turned into the rest of the school year.
Jennifer Quadrosi in North Andover, Massachusetts, and her 7-year-old daughter spent the end of the school year and all summer social distancing with a group of parents and kids in their community.
We call ourselves kind of the bubble.
To keep her daughter still protected in their bubble, she has become one of many parents around the country considering microschooling for the upcoming school year.
Right now, there are 3 families that are considering it, and that age range would be from 1st grade to 3rd grade. And we would follow the curriculum that was developed by our community and our schools.
With microschooling, a few families joined together to create a homeschooling pod. Quadrosi's playroom will become their pod's classroom.
But we're going to line up desks along this area.
And they'll likely pay an educational facilitator to teach the children.
That could be anyone from a retired teacher to a teacher's aide or a teacher that got laid off.
One of the concerns around homeschooling pods is that there are many parents who can't afford to pay someone else to teach their kids. But there are some parents who are finding a way to make homeschooling pods more affordable.
I am a stay-at-home mom, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that, and I realize not everyone is. But the other parents that are in this pod are working parents.
Gintel La Rochelle's pod has each parent teaching their group of 5 kids 1 day a week, making it more cost-effective and freeing up time for some parents to work.
If this is something that parents really want to do, the options are there for them. It just takes a little bit of creativity.
Pods can be formed organically with your friends and family, or there are Facebook groups now forming in almost every state around the country where parents are making connections. These 2 moms have learned, though, the key to creating a pod is starting your search early. You'll need time to talk with other parents that may be in your group about mostly creating a new set of rules or pact for your pod, especially around social distancing outside the created classroom. Because the main reason for microschooling is to give kids some socialization while reducing their health risks.
My genuine hope is that this is just a 1-year thing.
I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
After a 4-day disappearance that drew international interest, a teddy bear is back with its owner in Vancouver.
Mara Sariona was distraught when the bear was taken last Friday because it had the recording of her late mother's voice. The story went viral on social media, and actor Ryan Reynolds even put up a $5,000 reward for its return. Well, 2 strangers found the plush toy and returned it to Mara in perfect condition on Tuesday.
I'm a bit of a pessimist, and though I tried to be optimistic, I kind of counted it as a loss. In all honesty, I didn't think she would come back, but she did. She did. So I guess I was proven wrong.
The bear's recorded message is in Filipino. It's Mara's mother's voice saying, "I love you."
How perfect is that? Perfect timing. It would have been very difficult to find the bear if it went into hibernation. We've got rain in the forecast tomorrow. We'll struggle to hit 80, 70s with rain. Guys?
Well, thank you so much for making RTV6 your choice for news. Our next newscast is tomorrow morning at 4:30 from Kevin, Mark, and I. Good night.